But imagine you've worked out time and you're like, hey, I've actually created a device that you can look into it and it's going to show you in 250 years. And then you look into it and then you realize, oh, like no one even knows who I am.
We're all walking around here like everything we do, everything we're about,
It's going to live.
it's going to live forever. When the reality is you're just going to become that little moment in time. Why do people want really nice things? Watches, clothes, Ferraris, cars.
Desire comes from lack.
You're distracted by your day-to-day tasks, all the things that you're trying to do in your business and your life. You're distracted and it's taking you away from the things you genuinely want.
What do you want? What's that end? What's that feeling? Are you chasing security? You know what I mean? Are you chasing freedom? Are you chasing love?
Do you think in 250 years you're going to matter?
Me?
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
Wouldn't it, how powerful would it be if you created something? Imagine you worked out time. We don't understand time. Humans don't understand time, right? But imagine you've worked out time and you're like, hey, I've actually created a device that you can look into it and it's going to show you in 250 years. And then you look into it and then you realize, oh, like no one even knows who I am. Like they don't care.
They don't give a shit.
There's moves on, they're talking all this other shit. That would be really powerful.
Man, that'd be amazing.
How powerful would that be?
100%.
Because
We'll get into the future. Very powerful shit. Reason I say is 8 weeks ago, Kerwin Rae passed away. Now, for those of you that don't know who Kerwin Rae is, he's an Australian entrepreneur, business coach type person. I'd imagine that most people listening to this podcast know who Kerwin Rae is. Now, I went to his Nail It and Scale It event. I did his Nail It and Scale It event online because it was during COVID. And my friend had a ticket and he said, here, come and do it. I did it half-assed at the time because I was so busy, online, half working, half listening sort of thing. But aside from that, about 10 years ago when I started my business initially, Kerwin was one of the very first people I actually went and saw. He was at like some room in Carlton, before he was really massively popular, and he was talking about social media and hashtags and how to take advantage of Instagram and all that sort of stuff. So he was probably one of the very first people that got me on the track of wanting to start improving business and research and all that sort of stuff. And then over the years, I always followed him. I really liked a lot of his stuff that he had said, really resonated with me and business. And he was the same with a lot of people, built a massive following, had over 1 million, probably like 1.5 million followers on Facebook. He spoke on stages with like Gary Vaynerchuk, with Grant Cardone, with like a whole bunch of people, really influential person, and really helped a lot of business owners. I think he's probably one of the best 3 in the country that what he was doing. I'd say it'd be him, maybe Aaron Sansoni, and what's the other one? Jack DeLosa. They're probably the 3 that come to mind when it comes to that business coaching, mentoring sort of thing. Yeah. And he died, I don't know the reason, I'm not too sure what the reasons were, but he died about 6 weeks ago, say. For those of you listening to this right now that know him or of him, how many times have you thought about him in the last week or today? Or before listening to this moment right now?
Yeah. Well, since his passing.
Right? And this is a guy who was quite influential in that space. He was putting out a lot of content, did podcasts, did events with thousands of people in them, and affected a lot of people.
Positively affected.
Positively, yeah. How many of you have thought about him since that day? Do you know what I mean? And it was similar to like when... I think Gary Vaynerchuk said this, when Prince passed away, one of the biggest music icons in the world. It's like he got press for like 3-4 days and then that's it. No one's spoken about him since. No one's thought about him since. And we're all walking around here like everything we do, everything we're about,
it's going to live forever.
It's going to live forever. When the reality is, at your funeral, everyone's going to be really sad. Then they're going to go to the next stage being they're going to go to someone's house. Everyone's going to be crying. They might tell some jokes. I'll go home that night. Okay, that was a sad day. They'll probably go to sleep wake up the next morning, go to work. Maybe your immediate family might be sad for the next week, the next 2 weeks, the next month. Eventually, they're also going to get up, go to work, move on with their days, look at a photo of you every now and then. Oh, that was a nice memory.
Bit, yeah.
Then they're going to have kids. Then you go, I really wish you met your granddad or your grandmother one day. I wish you did once upon a time. And then eventually you're just going to become that little moment in time. Because then those people are going to pass away. And then those people are going to pass away. And then those people pass away. And then it's 250 years in the future. And then how much is everyone going to remember you and what you're about?
Do you know your dad's grandfather?
No, I don't.
Do you know of him?
Yes.
Like, you know his name?
Yes.
You know what he did?
Not entirely.
Do you know what type of person he was?
Not really.
Did he talk about him much?
Never.
That's only 3 generations.
That's right.
It's like,
Different. He lived in a different country too, mind you. So it was a little bit of a disconnect there. But yeah, I know what you're saying. That's only two generations away. I mean, the difference with what we do and how we're about now is, yeah, you can argue we've got social media. Like, people are still probably going to see Kerwin's content. It probably still goes viral in a country somewhere. Who knows what it might be. However, people will probably have to specifically look you up and search you up to find out you and what you're about. So even then, if you're still not relevant in that time, it's going to be pretty difficult for you to connect with people. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting, being that that's 8 weeks ago, and that this guy was like, he was creating a lot of content. Yeah. He was doing a lot of moves. Like, people in that space, most people in business know him.
I think
Knew him.
He's a big person in the state. Like, he was a large figure.
Yeah.
I was shocked, dude, when I heard.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
You sent it to me, and I thought he was sending me an event. Yeah, and I looked at it briefly on my watch, and then I thought, I'll check it out. I was doing something. I was like, I'll check it out in a moment. And then when I went and looked at it, I couldn't believe my eyes, man. I thought, is this a joke? Like, and it was 9 News. And I was like, this can't be a joke. And I remember, like, just trying to scramble to try and find out, like what happened? Like,
young, like 49 or something?
I went to an
48,
event
49?
this year.
Oh, did you?
I went and saw him this year, man.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I went and saw him at the start of this year. He was supposed to come at an AI event. Do you remember?
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, I did it right after a podcast.
Yeah.
I did a podcast, and I got up and left.
I couldn't
went
go,
straight to the
I
event.
remember.
Yeah.
I wanted to, though.
Yeah. And
you use some of that some of that content was beneficial for you in your business.
yeah, 100%. And it's like, guy going hard at life in every aspect. Like, he was like
fit.
He looked fit. He was spiritual.
Smart, spiritual, yeah.
He
had
was
young family.
Yeah,
kids.
and kid, maybe 2 kids. And gone.
Yep. So look, for a moment, I just wanted to acknowledge him, because I wasn't a type of person that he had a great impact in my life, but I definitely had a deep respect for what he did and what he achieved in the short amount of time that he was here.
Yeah, I also, you know what I liked about him? There wasn't 2 things. He was, you know how I found out about him? Gary Vee.
Oh, right.
Because there was a video of him meeting Gary Vee early on, and him saying to Gary Vee saying to him, you need to just put out content.
Yeah.
Like, you're not putting out content, you need to put out content. And then him seeing Gary Vee like 2 years later and saying, hey, thank you, man, you changed my life, blah, blah, blah.
And Gary Vee knowing who he was, because he had started to put out so much content.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought that was sick. Like, that was cool. When was I going? Someone was going to say something about that. Oh, and the second thing I really liked about him was I'm a very casual person. Like, I wear maybe 3 or 4 different pieces of clothing over and over. Like, you know what I mean? I put on hats all the time. I just don't. I'll very rarely wear a suit or things like that. I'll very rarely dress out of I just like to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'll come here. Like, usually I'm here in a hoodie.
Also, I mean, you don't need to be in a 3-piece suit every single day.
Yeah. But he was one of, I think, few people to go and wear a t-shirt on stage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He would rock up in like jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, that's cool. Like, I like that you're doing that. I like the fact that Hormozy does it. He goes on stage with a hat backwards. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, yeah, that's cool. Like, you guys are being yourself. You're no longer putting on this facade of, look at me, look at my suits, look at my jewelry.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
watch.
rich. Listen to me.
Look at my watch. Here's my Centurion Amex card.
Yeah. You know,
Let me go grab the Bentley or the Porsche or the Lambo.
I like that he doesn't do that. No one knows what car. Do you know what car he drove?
No idea.
No idea. He could have drove something
Sure he did.
really cool.
Sure he did. Like he was very successful. Like I'm sure he made a lot of money as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he
So I mean, people would have looked at him and envied him. The guy's dead now. Right? How much do you envy that? Do you know what I mean? Would you trade places with him? Would you trade places with him? I bet you, good question. Knowing he was going to die at 49 but have this extravagant life of fame, fortune, but knowing that he's going to die at 49. Would you trade places with him? No way.
No.
Not in a million years. And Richard Branson said this the other day. It's like someone came up to him at an event and he was a young kid. He was 21 years old. He goes, Richard, he goes, you're a billionaire. He goes, can we go to the ATM down the road and can you give me $1,000? Right? $1,000 to you isn't a fart in the wind. Like it's nothing. But to me, like that's astronomical. Like that $1,000 is going to change my month. You know, for me to get $1,000, and the fact that I get it from you as well. Like what a great memory. And Richard turns to him and says, "Look, I'm not going to get you the $1,000." He goes, "But do you know what I would do?" He goes, "I would give up absolutely every cent I had to be 20 years old and broke." Because I would give up everything. Because that's what you have that I don't. Because I'm fucking in my 70s, 80s, however old he is. I would give up everything to be 20 years old and completely broke. And it changed that kid's perspective completely. All right. It was no longer about the $1,000. It was like, wow, I have a whole life ahead of me.
I think stories like that are great because they give you as much of a feel as you're going to get for something like that without having experienced it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there is nothing, no one can ever say it to you that will, like, how many times do you hear people say stuff? Have you ever heard yourself say something now? And then you're like, people used to say it to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't listen. Yeah. Or I heard them and I knew they were right, but it hits different now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like your 20s will fly. And you're like, nah, this is ages. And the next thing you know, you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy fuck. Oh, if you're really old, you're 40. Okay. But time does fly, man. Time fucking goes so quickly, dude. So quickly. You know, and another one, you mentioned that thing about the figures at the start. Another prominent person that people do that with is the Queen.
Yeah.
Who died a couple of years ago. It's like, how many times have you thought about her? You know, she changed modern society in the Commonwealth, like female ruler. Like, you know, she came into power at a time where it wasn't okay to be a woman in power. And she did so much and impacted so many people. I don't know anything about the royal family and all that. But just to someone of that sort of caliber, right? Like almost everyone, or a lot of people, I should say, like half the planet would have knew who she was. How many people do you reckon have thought about her in the last 6 months?
I haven't thought about it since you've mentioned it.
I'm still not thinking about it. I'm still, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, you're going to die.
You're going to die.
Literally. One day, hopefully far, far away.
Far, far away, surrounded by loved ones.
You know what? You're lucky if that happens.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. If you make it to the end.
If you get to make it to the end and be surrounded by the loved ones and know that you're going to kick the bucket.
That's it. And be of sound mind.
Yeah.
Man,
do you know what I mean?
You've made it. You won. You clocked life. You clocked life at that level. You know, not many people get like Kerwin now. He's not going to get that opportunity. Not going to see his grandkids. All right.
Yeah, obviously we don't know the...
I've got no idea of the circumstances and how it happened. No, I don't know.
Did they know? Did they not know?
Yeah. But still, like
But
regardless, sad story.
some people, it's a very sad story. Some people never get, like some people get the call, hey man, you know, you've got cancer, you've got this illness, you've got this disease, you've got diabetes. And for some people it is a very bad, like really bad news.
Mm-hmm.
For some people it's a wake up call.
Yeah, without a doubt. I want to get him on the podcast actually. I've got a family friend and he was given that exact news. You know, he was given months, terminally ill. They said to him, you're fucked. Sorry. Right? Jump on chemo, do everything.
I can't believe they tell people that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
Way.
I think I've had a family member go through that.
Yeah.
And, dude, living wasn't healthy. Like, but he just never looked after himself. But living a normal life, working full time, do you know what I mean? He was in his early 50s, living a normal life, working full time.
Yeah.
He was like, I think he was throwing up or something was happening, but he was always like in and out of doctors, in and out of hospital, diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
And then something was wrong. So he went and got some tests done and they said, okay, you've got a tumor in your stomach. And he said, how bad is it? They said, really bad. And they said like it's not repairable, it's not operatable. We'll give you 12 months.
Yeah.
He died in 2.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think they killed him. Not in the sense of they said that.
No, of course.
Mentally.
Yeah,
like he got the news and he didn't know how
people aren't equipped to cope with that sort of stuff.
He did not know how to process it.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this is it. Like my life's over. Like that's it.
Yeah.
You know, you never see the finish line. They've just told me that the finish line's over there.
Yeah. Winners.
And that, yeah, that mentality, you know, went from like working,
just throwing up a bit, yeah.
Working, everything to got a little bit sick, but was still going to work to
gone. Yeah, and that was a similar thing with this family friend. So he was diagnosed with a terminal illness. It was cancer of some sort. So they go, look, you've got 3 months. We can probably give you 5. You know what I mean? We'll give you 6. Jump on chemo, jump on radiation, do all this sort of shit, go everything. So he started doing that. He starts throwing up, starts fucking losing his hair, starts like just feeling like shit. Like he's being poisoned at the end of the day. Chemo and radiation, you're poisoning your body to get it better. You know what I mean? And he was camping, similar like how you do. He was camping one day, he went by himself, all right? And he's like, fuck this shit. He goes, I'm not doing any more chemo. I'm not doing any more radiation. If I'm going to die, I'm just going to fucking die. Like it is. It is what it is. I'm done. And this guy was same thing, not always an overly healthy guy. He was a smoker. Like he was always, like he's stressed. He said, you know, stress was a big thing for him because he had his own business. He was always working, all that sort of shit. Anyway, he went and saw this doctor who was one of the top 10 smartest doctors in the world. And a natural doctor, like didn't believe in modern medicine, this doctor. He's like, no, like we can cure 90% of the diseases just by eating right, by exercising, by doing these small things. Anyway, he put him on this pretty intense diet of foods, like superfoods, right? He goes, you're going to eat this, you're going to have 43 shakes a day, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to stop smoking, you're going to do all this sort of stuff. Anyway, that was about 15 years ago. And he's still here today, right? Because he changed everything about his life. And as you said, that wake-up call. He changed his diet, he changed his mental state, he changed a whole bunch of stuff. And as a result of that, he's still here today. He's not a shadow of himself, right? He's still very strong, he's fit. He'd be in his late 50s, early 60s, no, late 50s now, I think. Late 50s, he still calls me every now and then. He actually worked for me for a little while until I fired him. But he was working with me for a little while. Really good, genuine guy. And that was the wake-up call for him, though, because he could have gone very easily the other way. He could have just given up on life. He could have just gone, fuck it, I'm going to do the chemo because that's what I've been told, modern medicine, that's what I'm going to do. And he went the complete other direction. And he's still here 15 years later. Because every day I have is like it's a bonus, man. I won life. Because every day, every month, every year, because I'm still here. And one of the biggest things he's told me, but he'll tell you too, was also that stress. He reckons stress is one of the biggest killers. It makes you sick. It promotes cancerous growths. That's what, and he deep dive into all the medicine and modern medicine and all that sort of stuff. And, his real underground conspiracy theory stuff, saying how, it's a $1 trillion industry, the medical industry, which it is, because they make money. They make money off people dying and getting sick, man. They don't give a fuck. They just want you to pump you full of everything because that's where they make their money. But yeah, it was very interesting and inspirational story where he got dealt that card, and he's like, no, I've got my own cards. Let me sort that out. And look, that's not to say what he did everyone should do and is good for everyone, but I think a lot of it had to do with his mindset and where he was at.
Yeah,
with everything, because like you said,
some people mentally check out.
Yeah, your example, you could have very easily mentally checked out, and he didn't. He thought, no, I'm going to give it a crack.
And I think, I don't know this person you're talking about, but
no, you haven't met him.
That person would have a newfound lease on life.
Yeah, he does. Well, the funny thing is he never wanted kids and had a kid very late in his life, in his 50s. Right.
So he didn't want a kid before it?
No.
And then after that...
I don't know if it was after that experience, but he ended up having a child after that. You know what I mean?
But so, no, is it... Okay.
I don't know if it was a result of that. This is recent.
But it happened after it?
Yeah, it definitely happened after.
Yeah.
So yeah, it probably did have a level of that to do with it, for sure.
That's interesting. But I think someone like that, and I think he would admit it, he would say, well, I'm lucky. Like, I got... People sometimes don't get the... even if you get the, like, this is, without sounding too toxic, it's a sad thing. Either way.
Yeah.
You don't want to see anyone go through it.
No.
We're not denying that at all. But I think, you get the, hey, you got 5 years left. Hey, you got 3 years left. Like, it's almost like it's a reminder. Like, you got a time limit now, and you probably got more of an indication than most. Go do what you want.
Yeah.
Go
do what you want.
Yeah. Live the little life you want to live. Whatever that is for you. Like, whatever everyone... Do you think we get pressured to do things because everyone else is doing it?
Oh, without a doubt. I think there's an element of that for sure.
Yeah, it's like...
So we spoke with Adam last week, and he was talking about his... he wants to create more social media, more content. Like, do you feel that you've got to create more content because everyone's fucking creating content now? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because it would be an element of that. So I get left behind if I don't create fucking social media posts. So yeah, I do believe there is a massive element of that too. Like, think about buying houses. Everyone wants to buy a house. Why? What do you want to buy a house for? Oh, who told you that buying a house now is the right thing to do, the right move? Oh, my mum and dad. So you're taking financial advice from people who are not where you want to be. Oh, my neighbors, my this. Oh, okay. The banks, you're taking advice from the banks who make billions of dollars a quarter off people borrowing money that they can't afford to buy things they can't afford. So that's just an example there, but there's so many things like that. Why does everyone want, not everyone, but why do people want really nice things? Watches, clothes, Ferraris, cars. Why do they want these things? Most of the time because they see other people, oh, I want that. The FOMO, the whole FOMO thing.
FOMO is a real thing.
Yeah.
Very real thing.
Yeah, I believe I've got an element of that.
I think it's human nature.
Yeah.
It's human nature to want what is scarce. Why do diamonds worth so much?
No.
Because they were supposedly scarce.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a whole conspiracy theory.
I've heard this as well, actually, yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not, but like the whole thing around diamonds. Like, why? So you'll go pay a lot of money for the shiny rock? It's a weird thing, yeah? But it's like we have this natural attraction to this thing because it's shiny and because it's scarce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's only a limited amount of these, and if you have them, it shows some level of status. You know, we are attracted to what we think we can't have, and it's like as soon as you find out your life's got a time limit, I didn't get to do that thing.
Yeah, well, most people on their deathbed, if they get the opportunity to get to their deathbed, it's not like having regret's going to be a really bad thing. Do you know what I mean? Shoot your shot. Don't get to the point where you go, fuck, I wish I did that. Fuck, I wish I had that opportunity again. It's like Branson said, I'd leave anything to be 20 years old and broke. You take all my billions, I'll swap with you. How's that? There's a machine right now. Find me a 20-year-old that will swap. You get all my billions, but you're 75 years old, but you get all my billions. I'll swap with you.
You'd have to be an idiot. Like, Jesus.
100% you have to be an idiot.
I think you can find a person like that.
Try to tell me there's idiots in this world.
I think it was in China, a person sold his kidney to get an iPad. That actually happened.
Yeah.
It's the early 2010s or something. It's the dumbest thing that happened.
Was it an iPad Pro?
I mean,
I think it was the...
Did they get the keyboard with it too and the pen?
No, I think it's...
Then it could be worth
the original iPad or something like that.
Oh, the original shit. They got stooged.
That's a bad move. But like, one of the things that, you know what? Right now, go there for a second. Do you know what I mean? And I hope you never do, anyone listening to this, watching this, whenever you're watching it, I hope you never get that news, and I hope no one you ever care about gets that news. But if you did, what would play on your mind?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think it's actually not as bad as you think to think about death and mortality.
Dude, that
mortality.
weekly thing, I do it every single week. Every single, I'm on 29:32 right now.
Context? You can tell people what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's... so every single week, I've got a sticky note, a sticky notepad stuck on my wall, and every Sunday, I take the sticker off and I stick it on my shelf. So now, right now, there's a whole bunch of sticky notes on my shelf, and there's a number on it. Right now, it says 29:32. And that's how many weeks I've got left until I turn 90, if I get to live to 90, which I think is a high number. I've been thinking about that recently. I've been thinking about changing it to 65.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but then I'm scared because that number's going to drop fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you look after yourself and you're exercising, you're eating right, I think 65 can still be young.
Yes, it can be.
I really believe, like there's this photo that was really impactful for me that I found a few years back, and I'm coming up to a training. Actually, by the time this airs, I might even be in Brisbane, and I'm doing a training with some of my mentees, and it's around the whole concept of vitality and life and everything. And there was an image that I found a couple of years back that had a huge impact on me, and it was of two men. And one man was both 84 years old. So when you think of an 84-year-old, what do you think of?
Old, frail.
Yeah, wheelchair, wrinkly, maybe a walking stick, move slowly, that sort of thing. And there was two men side by side.
How old?
84. One of the men he looked strong, fit, completely jacked, shirt off, muscular, chest, arms, six-pack, like muscular, yeah? And then the other man was sitting in a wheelchair, hunched over, hand over his walking stick like this. Looked old, frail, like he looked if you pushed him, you were going to break his hip or anything was going to happen to it. And the other guy, really strong, fit, 84 years old. Now, you look at them, they were both old. They were both, they looked elderly. But both of them made a choice at some stage in their life to end up like that. Both of them made that choice. And I think as long as you continually train with weights, look after yourself, like keep your muscle mass up, that's what I've learned over the years, is muscle mass is a huge contributing factor to whether you're going to get sick or fight off disease or however long you're going to live for. It's going to come down to the fact of you being strong and physically fit, but not at 85 start training. You've got to start training at 30, at 40.
To make sure you're able to do things. Do you know what I mean? Like you can open the door.
Yeah, and we're not designed to be like modern medicine today. Like we're living longer than ever, but why? We're living longer than ever because we've got the technology there to prolong our life. It doesn't necessarily mean the quality of life is going to be there. All right? Because you can prolong someone's life and they're miserable sitting in a wheelchair and can't move, or in a chair and can't go outside. We're not designed to live like that. We're designed to have a long life and die within 2 weeks. That's it, not die within 3.5, 4, 5 years. And that's what technology does. Yeah.
Massive.
I'll pull the plug, don't worry. I'll hook you up, don't worry. I'll unhook you.
I'll do this.
Yeah, oi.
Seems like a it's not.
Oi, hurry up,
Yeah.
fuck around. Yeah, let's do one more episode, then pull the plug.
Yeah. Life, man.
Yep.
It
And you know what? I think in this day and age, especially for those of you that are in business, dude, another week's down. Another week is down. Another week is down. Another week's gone. You know what I mean? Of the year. Another week is down. Like, how quickly has 2025 gone?
It's gone.
We're in December now, aren't we? When this episode is?
Almost.
Yeah. Nearly in December. All right. 2024 is gone. And next year is just around the corner. And guess what's going to happen next year? We're going to get to November and you go, what the fuck? How did that happen?
It's
And I get it. People are really busy in their day-to-day life, and you often don't stop and smell the roses. You often don't go, hey, I need to sit back and go, all right, it was important to me. What do I need to do? A couple episodes back, we spoke about our goals and what we had achieved. Like, it's important. Set your goals. Don't set New Year's resolutions. What do you actually want? What is it you want in your life? And go out there and fucking do it. Don't sit back and go, I'll do it next year. I'll do it the year after. I'll do it when I've got a bit more money. I'll do it when I've lost 5 kilos. I'll do it when I stop smoking. Like, fucking do it now. Stop making excuses. Everything in your life, when you start talking like that, it's always an excuse. Always an excuse.
I have this interesting thing that me and my wife do. So what we do is we write down 3 different timelines. So one is you die in 1 day, and the next one is you die in 1 year, and the third one is you die in 10 years. And you have to fill out, what do you want to do in 1 day, in 1 year, and 10 years. They are totally different, and you just keep it to yourself, the whole thing.
How often do you do that?
Every 2 years. So it's kind of funny. We started doing it since 2019. So we've got 2 down. Probably the next one comes in, and we just keep it to ourselves. Sometimes we open it up like 2-3 years after. It always changes, and it changes the perspective of like how you're living. And some of them you actually achieve them.
Yeah.
It's a very good thought experiment.
And I randomly found a notebook that I had in my pedestal next to my desk. Old notebook. And it had I had written goals in there from 2018 or something like that. I was looking at these goals. I'm like, fuck, I've done all of these.
Yeah, I've had that happen too.
Yeah, but the difference is that these are not goals. These are
correct.
the
These are
timeline death
That's
notes.
right.
Like, what are you going to do
Before that time.
Yeah, before
Yeah.
that.
What do you want?
What are you going
Yes.
to do? Like, I already know off the top of my head what I'm doing if I die tomorrow. Do you know what I mean?
On the 10 years, I wanted to have like 3 kids or something.
Yeah.
Even though they would get orphaned, I would still rather have kids.
Oh, without a doubt.
That is one of the goals, for
Yeah,
example.
without a doubt. I think one of the meanings of life, to me anyway, I speak personally, that having kids is one of the greatest things you will ever accomplish in your life. That's how I feel about it. And how many people take that for granted? Do you know what I mean? Do you ever think twice? Do you think twice? Wow, do you walk home tonight after a hard day's work, walk in to see your family, your kids, and go, fuck, I am the luckiest motherfucker on the planet. 99% of the people, when they walk home tonight, they take their jacket off, they take their shoes off, they sit on the couch, they watch some TV, they might fall asleep, they have dinner. Hey, baby, how are you? Give you a kiss. Give them a hug. How was your day at school? Oh, it was good. Okay. All right, sit on your phone.
We're distracted.
We are distracted. That's the best way to put it. You're distracted by your day-to-day tasks, all the things that you're trying to do in your business and your life. You're distracted, and it's taking you away from the things you genuinely want. And that's why it's so important to set some really clear goals, or those those death notes, if you want to put it that way. What would you do differently if you're going to die tomorrow? What are you going to do differently if you die next year? What are you going to do differently if you die in 10 years? What are the things you want to do, before that happens?
I think, do you journal?
No, I don't. But when I found that notepad, I took it out and it's on my desk. And I want to start just writing shit in it again.
I think it's the most, I've had the same thing happen. You know, and who was might have been Hawaii or something, but they said something along the lines of, you've already achieved goals that you said would make you happy.
Yeah, I really like that. And it's so true.
So fucking true.
It's so true.
Dude, I had the same thing. I had a thing where it was like, I want to do this and I want to go to this country and I want to have this much money and I want to have done this and I want to quit my job and do this, and you know what I mean? And it's like, you've done all that now.
Mm.
Like, you've got all that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, goals are good because they're direction.
Mm.
That's why they're good. Like, they are cool. I'm headed this way. It's like punching in the address into Google Maps. You know what I mean? It'll tell you which way to go. But it's like, every now and again I stop and I journal on my computer.
Oh, right.
I've got an app called Day One. Okay, and I just type. I just fucking spit out whatever I can. I know what you're going to ask me, and ask me so everyone else knows.
Well, I'm just saying, from the perspective, do you think that's more powerful than writing it?
I think there is no difference.
Okay, cool.
People think you get more from writing. I don't believe that.
Yep.
Why do you think your hand feeds differently to your brain because you moved it in a particular way?
You could probably write.
Keystrokes are the same.
Yeah, you could probably type more in the same time that it's going to take you to type it.
It's the exact same thing. It's just an old way of thinking, in my belief.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I type and I ask myself, what do you want? Like, what the fuck do you want, dude? And this was the end of your life. What do you want? What are the things? And you need to ask yourself this, listening to this, right? What do you really want? Like, fuck all the other shit. Like, what do you want? Do you know what I mean? Like, dude,
It's not that simple.
We talk all about.
I don't understand that reference, Iggy.
That's from Notebook.
You haven't seen it?
Everyone's seen it.
I haven't seen it. But what do you
About
want?
this guy that journals every day.
Yeah. What do you want? What if your life, if all the other shit didn't matter, if no one can see it, if only you knew you could have it? What do you want? Do you know what I mean? If no one was going to find out whether you had it or not, what do you want? Because certain things in life would not be that cool if no one knew you had it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, the Ferrari might be cool for a day. And I'm not saying don't get a Ferrari. Go nuts.
Yeah. Go sick.
Yeah. I'm all for the live. But, like, what do you really want? What are the things that are going to matter to you most when you're 70 or 80 or 90 or 100? What are the things that you're going to look at and say, I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I went and saw the world. I'm so glad I traveled. I'm so glad I had kids. I'm so glad I lived my life the way I did, or did this, or gave to charity, or made this much money, whatever it is. Ask yourself the question, because it's going to give you direction in which way you want to go for 2025. And there is no end goal. Like, there is no clock this and you're done until you're dead. And you don't get to decide that. But, well, I hope you don't. But it's going to give you the direction you want to go. Like, it's going to make you, it's a tough question to answer, right?
Mm.
Like, well, what do I really want here? And it usually comes down to, like, if you ask yourself why you want the Ferrari, you want a feeling. You don't want the Ferrari.
That's right.
Really. It's a means to an end.
Yeah.
Right? You want money because it's security, not because you want money. If I said, hey, you're not going to have any money, but I'll buy you anything you want, but you can't have any money, you'd be cool with that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't have any money at all, but everything you want, you just send me an invoice and I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, fine. Like, it's great.
That's it.
It gets you what you want. Money is a means to an end.
That's right.
Toys are a means to an end, but it's like, what do you want? What's that end? What's that feeling? Are you chasing security? You know what I mean? Are you chasing freedom? Are you chasing love, fun, laughter, relationships, caring? You know what I mean? Even family. Family is a means to an end. You know that, right? They make you feel a certain way. They're just humans.
Yeah.
They make you feel a certain way. You look at your kids and they fill you up with joy, gratitude, love.
100%.
Yeah. There's other people who look at their kids and say, fuck these.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like the same experience.
Dude, some people aren't built for it. That's what I mean. They've gone in and done something because of, as you said, external pressures. I have to have kids because that's the next step. I have to get married because that's what everyone does at my age. I have to do these things. Like it is. I think a lot of people get into scenarios that they don't necessarily want to or want to have. Maybe some people want to just be a monk and travel the world and just like not have those obligations. And that's totally fine for them. And for you, you said, what do you want?
It's a tough question to answer, but I highly implore everyone listening to this, take 5 minutes out of your day. Hey, just sit in the car before you get in the house.
Before you go to work.
Yeah, or in the morning before you take off. Like you're warming up the car, just sit down, close your eyes and say, what do I really
Write it down or type it.
Write it in your notes.
Yeah.
Download Day One. It's called Day One. It's a free app.
I would recommend reading any Ryan Holiday's books. They're pretty awesome about that kind of viewpoint. Especially, I just finished the book called Stillness is the Key. So it has the last chapter it talks about people have to find stillness in ourselves. It can be like in any kind of form. But in the last chapter, it talks about death. And it says, death is the most stillness that we can ever be. So it's a very like stoic, psychological, philosophical answer, but still like anybody should check it out.
Yeah.
What's it called? Stillness?
Stillness is the key.
There's a lot of, I like stoicism. Is that
Stoicism?
Stoicism, yeah. There's a lot that it's very practical and logical. I think that's why I like it. Being calm and emotional, just it is what it is. Like these are the facts. Like you don't need to worry about it. This is you worrying doesn't make it better, doesn't make it worse. There's a lot to like about, and a lot of lessons that you can learn and bring into your life. My employee the other day is like, he goes, one of the things I admire most about you, he goes, in stressful situations, you don't necessarily. Most people would get into a situation that would really stress them because you tend to have a cooler head around more difficult situations. I said, look, that's because I've gone through situations that are stressful and I've realized I got out the other end of them and continued to grow and become better. Now I tend to embrace the challenge and I look at it from a more mature but also more experienced mind.
Also, you've done the reps. You know what I mean? You can't
correct.
go in and lift the 20 kilo dumbbell straight away.
That's right.
You start off with the 3, then the 5, then the 7. And then you've been there for 12 months, someone says you're lifting the 20, and they're like, oh, how do you know?
He's strong.
And you're like, been here for a while.
Yeah. That's what we were saying last week, is again with Adam and him wanting to do content. It's like, I feel like I'm only going to get 2-3 likes. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably will. And it'll probably be like that for 6 months.
And that's fine.
Yeah, totally fine. But that's the thing. You got to be happy with that. It's part of the journey. I think you got to realize that you just got to. I feel that people need to enjoy the journey.
Credit to him for not just being aware of it, but
Just being honest,
admitting it. Yeah,
yeah, being honest.
But yeah, I think. What do you want?
Good question. Yeah, very good question. It's
because you never want what you have, right? Desire comes from lack.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. As soon as you say, what do you want, you think of all the things you don't have.
That's what I'm saying. Desire comes from lack.
Yeah.
There is no desire without a lack of something.
That's right.
Right? A person who has, do you reckon Elon Musk sits there, more money? Those people who think he's after more money, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Like he's not after more money. He doesn't need, he knows, he can't even spend his money. Do you know what I mean? Like
When you're buying Twitter for $44 billion.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. He has no way, that guy would have a whole different outlook on money.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it's a funny concept, isn't it? You only want what's not there. Like the way we are wired to focus on what is missing.
Yes. Not what you have. But then in the same token, as I say, you asked me that question, what do you have? I've got everything I want. Oh, really? You don't want anything else? Is that it? Have you finished? You clocked it?
Yeah, you're done.
You're done.
Checked out.
So there's that aspect of it too, isn't there? Because now I'm like, no, I do want things. I do want to be, I said to you last week, I've just put on a GM. Didn't think that was going to happen ever in my business, honestly.
Yeah, but that's because you can't see the steps you can see now when you start.
Yeah.
Like it's just when you first walk onto the
I
staircase.
know, but even when it's like, have your business under management, be a GM, or get someone on board to do that. Even then, I was like, no, I'll do it myself. Like, why would I pay someone to do that when I can do it and keep the money for myself? What else am I going to do? It's the small-minded aspect of it. And even now, like, it's a journey for me. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe I fire him. Maybe he comes in and fucks it up and we go backwards.
Yeah. Also, though, like, I think you need to change the way because it's not like you're leaving the business.
No, not at all. I'm still here. And especially at the beginning as well.
You're just not doing the day-to-day operations, which I think is going to propel you forward in a way you've never seen.
Would you move out of my office if you were me? So go and hire, say I moved into your office to be away from this office.
Not at the start.
Oh no, obviously not, eventually.
You got to make that call based on how you see things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
eventually,
I wouldn't move out of the office, I think. I think I'd just get a new office where, as in a whole new office building, go somewhere else.
but have a desk here.
Yeah, like, no, or I wouldn't necessarily, I don't think I need to be,
So you would move out of the office?
no, what I'm saying, remove myself from the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying if I was to go, say you get a 2-story building and then I go, cool, I will have the office in the top right-hand corner where I'm less accessible to people. Still in the building, obviously, but it's like senior upper level management. You know what I mean?
But if you weren't in the building, are you in the building?
No, exactly right. I'm not in the building at all.
Yeah. So what's the question?
Oh, just out of curiosity, like, do you think if you're going to step into that CEO world, are you removed from the team?
I think a CEO's on the org chart.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think as a CEO, you're not removed from the team.
Yeah.
You still have a level of involvement in the business. You should still have quarterly
without
goals.
I'll have monthly goals. Like I'm going to be, and this is where it's the good thing is, you were saying the other day, you track your numbers every single day. I want to be doing that now.
Oh, dude, very powerful.
Yeah, and I'm pumped about it. Like I want to start setting up a graph and actually track it and go, cool, let's see the graph over the course of the year. It's going to go up and down and up and down. But by the time I get to December next year, I want it to be here from here, not there or not stagnant. Okay, we want to see this growth over the year. And then I can track and they go, cool, we started off with this much, you've taken over, we're now here. There's the difference in net profit, let's go. Here's your bonus.
Yeah, I think it's I think clarity is power, and that's what doing that does. That's what answering those questions does. That's what journaling does. I used to think journaling was so gay, man. Like I used to think, why would I do that? Like that's, you know what I mean? I don't need to sit down and write into your diary.
Is that how you started?
Now?
Every day? Yeah.
No, I just fucking go on a rant.
Oh, what's happening, you mad dog?
I don't even say that.
Actually?
No. Sometimes I'll just write about what happened today.
Do you do it daily?
Not really. Just do whatever.
Just whenever you get it.
Yeah.
Feel the moment. And that's good because you don't have that pressure like, oh, fuck, I missed it yesterday.
Sometimes you look back. I'll tell you what the first powerful part is. When you don't remember what you wrote because you're just writing. And then you might look back at like 2 years ago. Like I saw one the other day I had from 2 years, from 2022. And I read what I wrote and I was like it kind of took me back to that moment. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I still feel the same way about that.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking 2 years later. I shouldn't. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, that's stupid. Maybe it's the way I'm thinking. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's cool. It's cool. It's great clarity. It's shows you how you think, dude.
And how you evolve with your thinking too.
Yeah.
Because of some of those goals that I was looking at, I'm like, dude, it's so like young. I was young and naive looking at that stuff.
Yeah.
That's a silly goal. Like I was thinking that when I was looking back at from 2018, like, I was thinking so small. You know, but that's good. Like, it's good to see how far you've come. I think the reflection is very powerful when you're looking back at your goals or your entry.
Yeah, it's hard to explain what it does to you. Because it's not like you read it when you write it. You just write it and then it just sits there.
Would you write a book?
If I wrote a book, I would write a practical book.
Yeah, one that will educate and help.
Yeah, like a book where you could learn directly. Like it'd have to be, only because this is the type of books I like to read.
Yeah, same.
Like I want to read a book that's going to allow me to have a skill that I didn't have before I read it. Or teach me a way of thinking that I didn't have before I read it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Kind of like some level of acquisition from it.
Do you ever think of, like, say anyone, any person that you follow, entrepreneur or practical book, like, do you feel that they make their content up or their advice up, like they've thought about it themselves? It's an original idea. Or do you think it's an accumulation of their lessons and things that they've learned over the years, listening to other mentors, business owners, all that sort of shit?
Of course.
As well.
Well, I think about that too. Everything is an accumulation of something.
Yeah, that's
because then you can turn around and say, well, did you make up this language? Did you make up that writing? Like, you've accumulated something from somewhere.
Yeah.
And yes, you might put your own spin on it. You might give it your own name, phrase.
That's right. But ultimately, it's the same sort of shit, isn't it? It's just maybe painted a different way.
So I'll give you an example, right? Something I share at events is, if you're running ads and it's not working, these are the 4 things you're doing wrong. I haven't learnt that from anyone.
Yeah, maybe that's from your experience. These are the things that are going wrong because I can see what's happening.
Yeah, but I've had someone say, oh, like, you don't know, like, this part, you're doing this part wrong, or your messaging isn't connecting. And like, oh, okay, like, that's a thing. Like, you know, when I was first learning about it. And then, yeah, it's just by learning all them, and then I kind of made it my own thing, you know what I mean? But did I create messaging? No.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, did I create target audience? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess everything, dude, is someone else's, unless it's a scientific discovery, it's someone else's. True. Like, unless it's
I was thinking about it
breakthrough in human history.
I was like, okay, I'm going to say, for example, I often put up some quotes on social media. Do you know what I mean? As a quote reel or whatever it might be. And often it's a quote that I've heard from somewhere else that I like, and I'll just regurgitate that. Sometimes I put my own spin on it. Sometimes it's word for word.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why don't I just come up with my own original thing? And then I was thinking, is it really original though? Do you know what I mean? Or is it because of my experience, because of things that have happened, because of things that I do in my day-to-day life? Maybe subconsciously I say something that I've learned from Gary Vaynerchuk about life or branding, and then it's his words coming into my words, but through my mouth.
Yeah. Is there anything wrong with that?
I don't think so. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I was just curious.
Just regurgitated from, like, isn't it all about the end result?
Do you know where I've noticed that more so now? It's that I've been in the coaching world and mentoring, and we're on stages and stuff like that now. And we're talking in front of people. And it's funny when I see content being taught by somewhere else. I'm like, dude, that's Patrick Bet-David. What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? And they're claiming it as their own.
Yeah. I've even had people.
What's his name? Tony Robbins.
You know? I've had people pull me up before. Yeah. And they're like, did you get this from so-and-so? And I'm like, possibly. And they're like, why don't you give credit? And I'm like, because I don't know if I got it from that person. Like, I consume a lot of different content. Yeah. And if I remember who, and we've done on this podcast heaps, if I remember who, I'll usually say, hey, I remember I watched this video from this person. Yeah, no problem.
No, not at all. But it's also, even when we're on stage, I've often said, hey, I've read this book by Patrick Bet-David, and he said this, 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 and this. I did an exercise a few years, like earlier in the year, and I did this thing called a self-identity audit. And that was from a book that I read that Patrick did. And he said, oh, this self-identity audit was really powerful when I did it. I'm like, okay, cool, let me see that. And I'm like, I could help people utilize that in their own business. And then I took it, I tailored it to construction, but I gave credit when credit was due. I said, hey, I read this from Patrick Bet-David. I did it myself. I thought it was powerful. I want to do it with you guys now.
Yeah, I think the reason why you and I have a negative association to that is because we know some people who can claim to fame.
Yeah, that they're things that it's like, oh, this is mine.
Yeah.
And that comes down to just not being, it's that level of being genuine and congruent with
Yeah,
what you're
that
doing.
as well
But then
as-
also the same token, you could argue, well, their interpretation of that content, like they've consumed that, they've then interpreted it in their own way and now delivered it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's an element of that too.
The way I see it is,
Like even Kerwin. Do you think everything Kerwin's ever taught and talked about and spoken about, like we were trained by the same person that gave a level of training to Kerwin when it comes to talking on stage.
speaking on stage.
Yeah, that's right. So it's funny, ever since we got trained after him how to speak on stage by this person,
We noticed.
we look at Kerwin and I'm like, fuck, how good's that? I see exactly what he's doing when he's telling you to put your hand, well, when he was telling you to put your hand up, when he's telling you to look over here, when he's using this example, when he's using this certain type of language, he wanted to evoke emotion in his audience. Like we could see those things now. But then it would also get to a point where I've heard stuff that he said that I've heard somewhere else before. Now, I may not go, oh, that is 100% Tony Robbins, but it could be that way inclined.
Yeah, I think some people do it in the wrong way. I also think some people try and police everyone about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, shut the
And
fuck
it's-
up.
Yeah, it's
Seriously,
like,
man, like exactly. You're doing the same thing. Like, are you that concerned about someone else doing well?
I was
You know what I mean?
thinking about this. The action is the action. Like the result, the thing gets done regardless of why you did it or how you did it. The thing gets done.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you go feed a poor person, go feed the poor. Okay? Here's you and I both go feed the poor separately. I tape it and post it on social media,
Yeah.
and you don't. We both did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like the same thing happened. Poor people got fed. That's it. Now, yes, maybe you can look at it and say, yeah, but he only did that because
You got the likes.
he wanted to go and post it on social media, and why can't you do it without taping it and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, poor people got fed. Regardless of why
How
I
it
did
did
it.
it, yeah.
You know what I mean? The cause was, in all,
The same.
Good.
But it was the same, exactly. It's
Yeah.
The same intent happened.
100%. Yeah, we both fed poor people. Now, your intentions, yours, might have been better. But regardless, the outcome was the same.
But also on whose judgment? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like the person who can do it and not tell, based on, you know what I mean? The person who can do it and not tell, and the person who's doing it for show. Why
See,
do people name
have
foundations after themselves?
But I don't have an issue with that. I mean, some people might, but I don't have an issue.
But
Like with taking advantage of a narrative.
yeah, I don't have an issue with it either. But some people do.
Yeah, some people do, but I mean, you're never going to please everyone in life.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too.
I also
you're always going to get people that are like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you should do like,
I have another thing.
fuck up, just do what you want.
Every time I donate in, what's it called when you don't show your details?
Anonymous.
Anonymously. Yes, I donate anonymously every single time
Yeah.
because I didn't used to, and then I used to think, well, why are you really doing this? Like, you know what I mean? Are you doing this because you want them to know you donated, or are you doing this because you want to know you donated? And if it's like, I used to do it as a test to myself. Like, if you really don't care what people think here, don't tell anyone. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have. No one has to know.
Yeah.
Do it anonymously. Even if you know the person, they don't have to know that you did it. You know, and do it anonymously and never talk about it. Everyone that asks you, say, don't know. Because you did it for the cause, not for the effect. You know, and then it's like, does that really matter though?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Does it really matter? If I taped it and you didn't, does it matter? Like, the good thing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like the same thing with the content. Like, if I go and regurgitate what you taught me, like, and it's good information that's going to help people, does it really matter? I'm sharing what has been learnt. Like, I'm sharing a key message of life. You know what I mean? Because one day, they won't be able to track it back. And if I go harder than you at marketing better, like if I market this message way better than what you did and you taught me, I'll probably get credit forever. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's people like, you know how quotes get attributed
Absolutely.
to Churchill or something like that.
Yeah,
And it's like, do you know if he really said that?
Yeah.
Or what if someone said that to him?
Yeah, exactly. Where do you get it from?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? What if someone said that to him and
Ooh, I like that.
that other guy, we got no idea who that is.
Yeah.
But just because this guy did a better job of spreading it.
I've got one of those and I say it and I don't think anyone else says it. good builders don't build anything, they manage the building process, right? And I had an old boss say that to me once when I was a graduate. I guarantee you he's never done that in front of crowds. He's never done that ever. But someone's going to hear me say that. Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that's
George is a genius. That's a George Passes quote.
Yeah,
trademark.
But it's like that came from somewhere.
They came from somewhere.
Even if it came from
and
two different people talking.
That's right. It might not even been word for word exactly what he said, but that's how I remember it. That's what I've translated to people when I'm talking to them on stage.
And had you not had that conversation with that boss at that time, it probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So everything comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, when you're now sitting down as in the audience and you're going through a whole bunch of things of what you're going to want in your life and what's going to be most influential for you, specifically in 2025 and really for the remainder of this year, there's one thing that you can do, which is going to be astronomical to the path of success and joy and happiness for you. And that is definitely to subscribe to this podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That should be, when you ask yourself, what do you want? That should have been the first thing you wrote down. That'd be with lifetime subscriber.
The lifetime subscriber.
I want to sponsor this podcast.
Do you?
Not me.
Oh, so that's what we're taking sponsorship.
Should we sponsor our own podcast?
I don't know.
Could we do it?
We could.
Big shout out to
give money. So Legacy Media will pay.
Pay ourselves.
Legacy Media will pay Legacy Media to do the content for the podcast.
Yeah, probably not going to work.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. Thanks. Shout out to Legacy Media. Week in, week out, bringing you some amazing content.
Yeah, making sure that you guys get this live, raw, real.
Boom. Yeah, absolutely. I think the conversations we have here are powerful. I love it because we have it between ourselves, and it also makes you think. It's like the other day.
Right down what I want.
When good. It's when you had that interview with you had that session with Fabian.
Yeah,
I wasn't part of that episode, but I listened to it and I'm like, fuck, this is some good content. I wanted to stop and take notes and go, I'm going to do that. I really loved it. It was really powerful shit. And that was an episode I wasn't a part of, but I loved listening to it. And I'm sure we'll get him back on the podcast one day. But we've covered some great topics here over the course of over a year now. We're into our second year of this podcast. And I don't tell you to subscribe because I need your subscription to feel good about myself. I don't give a fuck if you do or you don't, in all honesty, whether you subscribe to this channel or not. But I do know that it will be important to someone. That one person that listens to it, that likes it, that it connects with it and goes, yeah, you know what? That has really affected me in a positive way. And I think today's conversation is that. I think today's conversation, I wanted to acknowledge that a guy I've never met before, a guy that I've had really small dealings with, consumed a fair bit of his content, arguably was the reason why I started to create content in the first place. With Kerwin, just to acknowledge him, everything he has done, the positive stuff, that what I saw, assuming he was a good, positive, honest guy, from what I could see he was. But then also to deep dive into the topic of, man, we're not going to be here forever.
We're not going to be here forever. And Gary Vee said it best once. He was doing like a live thing, presentation or whatever. And he goes, everyone's asleep. And when you're driving and you're not paying attention and you look down at your face and down your phone and you're fucking on social media, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I saw a video of someone driving, playing Candy Crush on the freeway. Like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? Anyway, everyone's living life.
You're sitting up high now in your car as well, so you can see all that.
I can see everything. Oh, no, I saw a video of it.
Oh, I saw a video of someone doing it.
Yeah. But sitting up high in the car is sick. We're all living life like this. You're driving, you got one hand on the wheel, you're not even looking at the road, you're sitting there fucking around your phone, you don't know how fast you're going, and then you see blue and red lights. And all of a sudden, you shit yourself. Your heart comes out your ass, you're like, oh my God. And then you think you're going to get pulled over, and then they go around you. And then you're like, whew. And then you stop, and you're like, I better drive properly. And you put your hands on the wheel, and you pay attention to the speed limit, and you look behind you and see who's around you, and you're doing head checks before you merge. And you're like, 2 minutes, like 100 meters down the road, you're back to fucking on your phone again. You're like, this is how we're all living our lives. We're all asleep until grandma gets the health scare, or someone, you get the call from the doctor, or you wake up and that person didn't wake up. And he's like, we're living life like that every day instead of actually paying attention to what the fuck we're doing all the time and what we want. Because the reality is there's people that walked this earth 200 years ago that you would not know their names because no one talks about them anymore. And in 200 years, it's going to be us. we're gonna have a YouTube channel, but but everyone else,
the YouTube plaque.
with the YouTube plaques
With an
multiple
S.
plural.
With an S. Yeah, look, he did another good one with that too. Some girl, he was in a car and a girl ran up to him and saw him in the car. It's like, Gary. He was like, what advice would you give me as an upcoming entrepreneur or an upcoming business owner? And he just looked at him and said, you're going to die.
Yes,
She's like,
you're gonna die.
You're going to die. She's like, so I should create more content? So no, you're going to die. Yeah, stop fucking around. Do the things that you want to do.
Someone was freaking out about AI to me the other day. They're like, man, what's going to happen to this catastrophe? I was like, dude, you're going to die.
Don't worry.
Even if they kill us, like, you're going to die anyway. Like,
That's it.
just see what happens.
See what happens.
Stop stressing. Go do what you want. Live your life. Live your life.
I'm going to do what I want.
And what's that?
I'm going to end this podcast. Had enough. Fuck you. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
No, so as if we're going to end it like that. Come on.
I thought you were
should
gonna
know me better like that.
Come on. I'm going to cut it off there. Get the team to stop it there.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Right
just
there.
Kill it off there.
No, but we are. It is coming to an end. I hope you got a little bit out of this episode.
Go write down what you want.
Yeah. I think it's important. It's definitely changed our lives, you know, deep diving into that space and doing those sorts of things. And it helps just refocus and center you as to where you want to be and what you want to achieve in your life. So I hope you get those things. I hope this episode gives you some clarity. I hope you take some fucking action more than anything, because most of the time you guys listen, you'll feel good in the moment, not just to this podcast, but anything, you know. People get really motivated or, oh yeah, I'm going to go to the gym this week. I'm going to quit smoke. I'm going to do this. Like, they get that level of motivation, and you probably do it for a couple of weeks. Then it goes.
Yeah. Also, don't wait till you get the scare. Some people don't get the scare.
Yeah. Some people don't. Thank you very much for tuning in. Cannot wait to see you next time. Hope you're having $1 million day.
Thanks, guys.